Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. Half of you in this room were a mistake. And we have the data to show it. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm here to answer questions and talk about whatever you want, kids. This time, which we call the fireside chat time, are pretty popular. And I don't really give a fuck if they're popular on YouTube, but there's a lot of questions that ruminate over the week, and you ask some of them, and the seminar is now 60 to 70% questions, Q&A. Didn't used to be that way. Now, I thought that was wrong, but I'm proven wrong. Because the kids, as I told you the first day, it used to be the last day plus the last hour or two of the next to the last day was Q&A. But as I said in several days ago, unbeknownst to me, or contrary to what my thoughts were, even though I know the sooner the questions are answered, the better that they resonate. But I thought you could keep the questions on your mind long enough to get to the last day, but answering the questions from the first morning actually has worked out much, much better. And Corona has helped that. So there's been a lot of positives out of Corona, and not the least of which we've changed the format. And although there are kids that don't want to do webinars, 2 or 3 of the best cases I would have liked to have shared with you this week, the kids won't do it because wrongfully, in my opinion, they consider you competition. And they consider that, you'll take their business away, et cetera, et cetera. As I told you a few days ago, the worst we've had is you fight over a chairman, or you fight over, not really fight over, compete against one another for a board member. But as far as deals are concerned, that hasn't happened. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. So are you sober?
Recently.
Okay. I'm open to Q&A. Yes, sir.
Mr. Peña, it's not really a question.
Well, what is it then? Is this a statement of life or some shit or what?
May I stand up and say it?
Yeah, sure.
So if you guys really think about it, you're one of 2,000 people in the world.
We have to verify that 2,000. I know.
All right, plus or minus.
I counted.
All right? We're going to go off that guy's fucking mouth. Okay.
Okay, stop. Okay, continue.
Okay. So if you really think about it, in the fucking world, for 30 years, this man has blessed us with his fucking time. If you really think about it, he doesn't have to fucking do that. Look at his house.
That's true.
Look at his house. Look at his success. He doesn't have to do this shit. But yet, we're here because he wants us to be here, because he fucking believes in us. Because we're regular fucking people.
No, I believe in the system, and I want to prove that regular people with no money can be rich.
Still wasting time and time again, even though 80, 90% of his classes is going to fucking do it. Because of 2, 3, 4 are going to do it. Because of 2. And it's just like, if you really think about it, it could be on the fucking account right now.
Or as Elon Musk said, I could be, well, without Sally, I could be with naked girls dancing around me. As Elon Musk, yeah.
All I want to say is thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're very welcome. I know, and these guys, they have no idea where you come from, but I do. I've been there. Oh, a shithole. Yeah, a shithole. Thank you very much. And guys, I do live vicariously through you, and I'm often disappointed, which is still, I've had trouble in 25, 28 years of getting used to it. Because when I tell somebody, when I told Jim Newman, when I went to his first seminar in 1974, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be the best mentee you ever had. That's exactly what I did. Jim Newman wrote, Release Your Brakes. And I told him, this is what I'm going to do. And of course, Jim told me, in a very much more polite way than I say, I've heard that before. God be with you. But then I became his most successful mentee. So I've heard it a lot of times. And when you tell me it, you're not bullshitting. You're not meaning to lie to me. You're not meaning to mislead me. But the spirit is willing and the flesh is fucking weak. And most of you, the flesh is your family. And it's a shitty thing to say, but it's the fucking truth. Your family is your short suit. That's just it. That's life. And very few people, and I'm not suggesting or recommending you dump your family. But you can only have two masters in life. Two, and I think one, a higher power, and yourself is the other master. And it's very difficult if you're going to try to have your family as your master. You're going to fail. Or I'll put it another way. The probabilities of you failing are much higher. But we've had a lot of success stories. I mean, the kids, have created a shit ton of money. And, I've got probably 50 super, the Ronaldos kind of guys out of 28 years. And if the number is 2,000, the fact that I've got 10 isn't such a high percentage. But there are not that many guys that go to the Olympics and win gold medals. But you have the tools now. All you have to do is pull the trigger. And when I say just fucking do it, I mean, it sounds crass. And a lot of people discount what I say because they shoot the messenger and they don't listen to the message. But the course, the week-long course that you went through, the results are unprecedented. They just are. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to compete with the other guys because there's no competition. But one of the reasons they don't talk about numbers is because they haven't produced any numbers. And I produced a lot of numbers, and I'm hoping, but I'm an old guy now, 76, and hope springs eternal. But everybody in this room has a possibility, not the probability, that would be a lie, the possibility to make big fucking money. And again, money's not everything. But I truly believe if you didn't come here to make a lot of fucking money, then you wasted your money. And so, directly or indirectly, you came here to make a lot of fucking money. And I know how to do that. I've trained not countless people, but a lot of people to how to make a lot of fucking money. And you've seen some of the, and with the greatest respect, kids, some of the Nimrod fuck faces that made a lot of money. And if you didn't say to yourself, well, fuck, if that dipshit,
I'll just burn it. It's fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, if that dipshit can make all this money, why not me? And that's the God's truth. Why not me? And whether you're Asian, black, blue, or yellow, I mean, why not me? And you've seen these, and we could show webinars for a week every 20 minutes. And there was at least one that you related to. My favorite, and Peter, I love you. So I even though I make fun of you, but fuck. Jesus Christ, guys. When you see that, it's one thing seeing Marcus. Okay. It's one thing even seeing the pig fucker. But some of these mice is plural, these mice that you've seen, I mean, if you can't think that you can outperform them, I mean, you should commit suicide, metaphorically speaking, of course. But you will, and you'll see, and you'll measure yourself at how soon you get out of the blocks. And as Thomas said, the sooner you get out of the blocks, and you all have the gig now, right? Okay. Has anybody lost one yet? Good. Well, if you did, fuck you. But anyway, when you go down and you look at that weekly schedule, and you go down and you see what your time frame is to do certain things, I mean, you follow that, you're going to get rich. You're going to get rich by default or by accident, really. Okay, questions?
Mr. Penny,
Yes, sir.
we've had a bunch of the details in between on the QLA process, and I just one more time, I want to hear, just to reinforce it in my head, the overall process. What's up?
LOI.
Watch me get one in less than a month.
Okay.
The overall process, step by step, from as soon as we walk out, first get the board, etc., kind of walk us through.
First get the chairman. Then the board will fall into line. If you choose correctly, the rest of the board will fall into line. And remember, if any of the board members is the most important, it's the chairman that you do not have to explain about. Now, a guy in healthcare you may not know in other areas of finance. If you're going to roll up financial advisors, the rest of the world may not know this guy or this gal, but they have to be known. They have to be known. Almost that they don't Google them because fuck, that guy was this, that guy was that. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, like just the general overall process without the details in between, step by step, from as soon as we walk out the castle till we finish the first deal. So get the board, then get this, then go on to get the warm up the banks, then the leads, etc., and then the LOIs before the board meeting. Just a quick overview of the whole.
Well, you just made it. I mean, he did. Okay, the chairman, all the other board members, the accountants, based on referrals from your board members. Most importantly, the accountants and the in-house accountant and your CFO. The lawyers next, hopefully from the in-house lawyer. Warm up the banks and a motivated seller. And even though I make fun of the motivated seller, he's not a dipshit. Some of these guys, you'll memorize the cards and they'll ask questions that you haven't thought of or you didn't pay attention when I answered you in the seminar. But remember, you only got 5 or 6 bullet points. You're going to say the same motherfucking answer no matter what the question is. You're going to be a part-time politician. And you'll just like Al Gore says, why he's got an excuse why he lives on the water if he believes in global warming. You're just going to plow through it. And by definition, 30 days from now, all of your skin will be thicker because they're going to ask hard questions. And even the toughest in this room doesn't like rejection. The best of you in this room. The guys that have some sales experience, like Thomas McGuire said it on the YouTube, even though I feel like I've got my brains kicked in, I've got to, smile, suck it up, and go forward. And that's what sales really is. The other side of the thing that you're going to be fighting with is your family didn't send you to school to the extent that you went to school to be a fucking salesman. They didn't. And that's why I tell you, don't share any of this shit with your family. Because your sister or your brother or your uncle or your dad or your mom, you mean you're a salesman? And even if you think your parents are potty, that hurts. But the truth is, you're a fucking salesman. The sooner you get real with that, it was simple for me. I didn't give a fuck, A salesman was a step up for me. So as opposed to getting thrown in jail for shit that I did. So that's why one of the main reasons I tell you, don't share doubts, don't share your successes, don't share anything. Just go out and do it. And then when my dad stood under that chandelier, I got my arm around him, and he looks up and says, just tell me it wasn't drugs. And I said, my infamous answer, no, Dad, it's kind of like drugs. It's oil and gas. And he looked happy, and he went on his way, But to this day, my family doesn't know what the fuck I do, And I'm not trying to explain to them. I'm way past having acceptance of my family. They're all proud of me, but they don't understand what I do. And you, 10 years from now, they should be proud of you, but not understand what you do. You don't want them to give you not abstinence, but acceptance because you chose what you're going to do. That's not the game. You want them to accept you because you've been successful, probably in an arena they do not understand. And, when I had lunch 2-3 years ago with my cousin Ronnie that stabbed the guy 17 times, we don't even talk about what I do. He doesn't understand, and nobody in the family understands. They remotely think I'm involved in finance. Remotely. But not exactly. But finance, it created a lot of money. Now, the older family, I think he was in oil and gas. And he made a lot of money. And some of my, now dead now, Aunt Stella, who just died at 98. And oil and gas was risky, and we prayed for him every day. Well, that's the most they know. And if your family knows no more than that, you'll have a happy life and you'll live at least as long as I have. But the more you try to, and the reason why you explain it to them is because down deep inside, you want them to like you still, and you want them to accept you. For those of you that dropped out of university, some of you, a couple of you dropped out of high school. Yeah, hear you talk, I think you dropped out of grammar school. But I mean, I'm sure you realize this is not the most literate group of intellectuals that's ever sat in this drawing room, believe me. But that doesn't matter. That's the irony and the pleasure of this program. One, you don't have to have money. Now, some of you really understand that because you have no money. But you don't have to know anything you're embarrassed about. One, not having any money you can mostly relate to. But not knowing shit still bothers some of you. Go back to your DNA, whatever, okay? But once you get over the fact that you're comfy with not knowing shit and making a lot of money, the rest is history. I mean, it's not analogous, brains with money, which you've already figured out. You've been alive long enough to know that. It's not analogous, brains, experience, and money. What's analogous is being smart enough to find something that you don't need any fucking money, which you can make gobs of money. And that's the key. And maybe I'm shallow, maybe I'm this, all those things, but when I figured that out, I go, motherfuck. I mean, this is, and again, I hate to use the analogy, this is like taking candy from a baby. If you don't like that, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. If you don't like that, you figure out your own. But I mean, it's easy peasy. It is. And there's nobody, even though I tease some of you more than others, there's nobody in this room that's not bright enough to do a deal in 30 days. And there's nobody in this room that's, I've talked to you about my autistic mentees, and I don't want to do that on YouTube. But they figured it out. Of course, they're laser beam focused. You give them one objective, and that's all they see. And they have no baggage. God love them, And and everybody in this room's got a lot of baggage, myself included. But I've turned my baggage into a plus. Danny, if it's not what people say to you, it's how you interpret. And we've all had nasty things said about us. Race, creed, blah, blah, female, blah, blah. But it's how you interpret it. And I'm a classic example of a guy that's taken that, even though I've got the shit beat out of me as a kid, not just by my dad, but by, the neighborhood I was part of, I just took it positively. And I'm not getting too spiritual, I believed in myself sooner than most kids for some serendipity reason, and I know I'm probably the only guy in the room that had an alpha male father, but going along with the alpha male father, he beat the fucking living shit out of me. And I could have taken that the other way, but I didn't. And you guys, everybody in this room has a little bit of me, and nobody in this room was so damaged that you couldn't get here. And I know some of you borrowed the money, and hopefully you didn't steal the money, borrow the money, but you're here. And it's a big benefit. And I mean, telling you, the next 90, 120 days, 75% of the money on the planet is going to be lent out commercially. We start at seller finance, but our default is commercial lending, and 75% of all loans on the planet, even in Brooklyn, are going to be lent out in the next several weeks. And it's our market. And not taking advantage of the dipshits, motivated sellers, we're going to take advantage of the dipshit motivated sellers. Other question, please. That was a long one. Yes, ma'am.
Are women doing making other mistakes or doing?
No, the biggest mistake, and I told Blondie this, the biggest mistake women make is they fall in love with some piece of shit and they run off into the sunset. I mean, that is the biggest error that the gals make. That's it. They fall in love. First they fall in lust. Then they think that's lust is love, and they run off into the sunset. But that aside, the gals make lesser mistakes than the guys. One, because the gals don't think with their head between their legs. And the best, most faithful guy in this room, push come to shove, you're weak. The flesh is fucking weak. And you all know what I'm talking about. You all have a little smirk on your face because you understand that. But the gals make less mistakes. They make less mistakes. And the gals are better multitaskers. And the gals are more easily focused. And again, I think I've told all three of the girls here, and it's not fair. And the guys that are on the other side of the table are nicer to the girls, but the women on the other side of the table will cut you no slack. They will.
Should women consider women board members at all?
Oh yeah, you should. All you guys should consider ethnicity and gender. I'm not getting into transgender shit. I don't, that aside. But you should all have
Having diversity.
Yes, absolutely. Because the banks look at that to the extent that you use commercial lending.
And there's some top dog women.
Oh yeah, they are absolutely top dog. But I mean, the gals will, to the extent that you interview them for board positions, they interview harder with women than they do guys. Maybe partial out of jealousy, I'm not sure, but partially when you see they were 35 years with IBM and they're senior vice president, whatever, and they do the sums, the numbers, and all of a sudden they see that you're going to make $25 million in the next 2 years, and they didn't make $25 million in 35 years. That pisses them off. But there's still a lot of good gals, and it's great when you have an ally on the board that's female. You're a guy, it's female. I never had a gal on my boards when I was young. I certainly have had very high-powered, high-performance women since, the last 15, 20 years. And there's a lot of very capable gals, believe me. And there's gals that are retired from the military. I told you about a 2-star admiral that I had the privilege of serving with for a while. And they're super. And they've got insight that guys won't have. And you being a woman that you can adapt to. And the gals, even though they say they don't, they talk more candidly to other women. That's assuming they're not jealous and they don't want to cut your head off. But I mean, that aside, there's a lot of top-notch women that are out there. And so, and when you do the LinkedIn exercise, you will find that the gals will, apply. And again, they apply because never in their careers, especially if they were in the military, have they ever had free founders equity for anything. It sounds like a cheap cliche, except nobody's done it before. And free founders equity has only become popular vis-a-vis QLA in the last maybe 10 years. And one of you guys, and I believe it was a woman actually, who came up with the idea of free founders equity, putting it in the headline of the LinkedIn. The system has been based on free founders equity, but I wasn't bright enough or whatever, and the guys that were with me the first 15 years weren't bright enough to use it. And it's magic. When you've worked 30 years and all you get is a pension that you can't live on, and they don't even give gold watches anymore, free founders equity is pretty powerful. Pretty powerful, even in Brooklyn. Other question?
For a Russian Jew, who's the best victim for a motivated seller?
A Russian Jew.
So I'm a Russian Jew. Who's my best victim?
Oh shit! Hey.
Oh, you didn't know that? He actually spilled the beans in the bathroom that he's a Russian Jew.
Well, there's Well, I mean, that's
Hey, one Russian to another. Fucking.
yeah. Well, I mean, well, there are pussy Russian Jews. There are pussy Russian Jews. But I mean, for a Russian Jew that actually has some Russian in him, as opposed to cosmetic Russian on the resume, yeah, cosmetic Russian. Any naive guy from Oklahoma, Arkansas, probably your best picks are middle Western United States, because they're I won't say naive, but compared to a New Yorker, I mean, they're naive. The New Yorkers, although they consider themselves the smartest in the planet, they're not, but they're hardest, and they've been fucked more. You can't come up being raised in that area from junior high school to fuck your first job without getting fucked over. That's just the program there. And yeah, I mean, it just is. I'm not saying that's right, but that's the way it is. Whereas if you're from Nebraska, I mean, living on a farm, and you come to New York for the first time, they're going to rape you. They're going to rape. It'll be not a good rape, So I would say the middle United States. Middle United States. And be gentle with them.
Fair enough. I live in Florida.
Huh?
I live in Florida.
Well, I mean, I know Russian Jews in Florida. And right now, I don't know, I've been away from the diamond business for 20, 25 years. The Hasidic Jews that were in the diamond business were no less ruthless than Hitler in New York when I was there. I mean, they were tough fuck. They were tough. And when the Israelis and Israel knew that I had been partners with a couple of the biggest diamond merchants in New York, they stopped. They made one phone call to see that it was true. They stopped their due diligence. Peña, poor Mexican wetback, can deal with these Hasidic Jews, which I did easily. He must be okay. And you want a reputation to be able to have done business with a lot of different ethnicities. I poke fun at a lot of ethnicities, but they've all been part of my growth process. I did business with the Arabs. At the same time, I was in partnership with the Jews in Israel. And they cut me slack because I was honest and upfront with both. But you want a diversified portfolio, if you call it in a different way. And try not to get fucking raped at the same time, because each ethnicity is different, I was teasing him about Yemen, but I've been there. There's not many people that have been there. And even though I thought Moses was going to come around every street corner. I mean, it's a different part of the world. They think differently. Their loyalties are different. And I was smart enough at that time. They were making a lot of fun of people that were Muslim. I was bright enough not to. And but then when I became partners with the Kuwaiti government, I mean, everybody I won't say they just rolled over, but they almost rolled over, because they were considered the Jews of the Middle East, and whether they're the smartest, they're certainly bright guys. But I never met a lady Kuwaiti in business, ever. I'm sure there are, but I never met one. And they say it's changing now. I haven't seen that myself. But if you can get an anchor, what I used to call an anchor investor, a country, and I had 4 or 5 countries that believe in you, your world is made. Your world is made, I mean. Okay, another question. Yes. Okay. Huh? What? Okay. Okay, turn it off. We may turn it on again. Okay, go ahead.
Just want to thank you, and
well, you're welcome.
I greatly appreciate it.
You guys paid to be here.
Still.
But no, stop a second.
Full price.
Okay, don't sell yourself short. You paid to be here. Some of you paid a lot in your mind. But I used to do this for free. And I guarantee the action that you would have taken for free is significantly less than the action you're going to take because you paid money. But I wasted years for free because maybe I was trying to be a goody two-shoes. But I'm over that. I'm well over that because I had so little success with the free model. I tried like shit, like hell to try to get, but I just could, I wasn't able. Maybe I wasn't good enough salesman, and I'm a world-class salesman. So I appreciate your thanks, and I appreciate all your thanks. But to me, it means nothing unless you go pull the trigger. When you pull the trigger, then and I can brag on you. And even though everybody that I showed you is not perfect, they're not even close to perfect. There's a lot of flaw in personalities. The biggest flaw in personality is the pig fucker. But he just happened. Serendipity, you know. Now, whether he goes to the second deal, the third deal, the fourth deal, you know, and I'll be candid with the next seminar guys that come in. But when Marcus comes next month, and I've seen him since he's a boy, more or less, and he will, you know, I'm sure, I'm not going to force him to say anything, but I'm more or less positive he was going to say, I didn't know shit, I didn't have shit, and now I'm rich. You know, and that's pretty powerful. And he's been rich a long, 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 long time. You know, I teased the big guy, you know, but he's done a deal. And so, you know, it's not how I would have liked to have done it, you know, but for those of us that have kids, the kids don't always react to what we tell them to. But now he's learned, and God willing, he knows how to straighten out the track. And but he's got the taste of blood in his mouth now. Yeah, I mean, once you've had the taste of blood in your mouth, I mean, it's tough to go back. And that's what I've seen with the kids. And once you get your first deal, as virtually all kids that you've listened to while you've been here in webinars, they all say, get your first deal. Now, Anelli is, I don't want to say he's an anomaly, but to do, you know, create $700-800 million in 3 years, it's pretty special. It's pretty special. And as he would say, I hope you're watching this tonight, I'm a black man from South Africa, like he's got to explain that he's black, which I think is a riot.
For you, Mr. Peña, for QLA, for all of you, cheers.
Thank you very much. And we read that he was set on fire in Mexico, a Mexican brothel, 6 weeks from now, you know. Yes, sir.
I guess the short of it is the biggest thank you that we can show you is by action.
Correct.
And success.
Thank you.
A verbal thank you, I mean, we all say thank you to each other, but the true is an action.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of you still don't have it 100%. You don't understand it, but that's fine. But the only way the way that you're going to make this happen is trial by error. Trial by error, and some of those errors are going to be bloody. You know, hopefully none of the errors will put you in jail, but I mean, they're going to be bloody. And I still have oil and gas guys that resent me because I made a shit ton of money and I didn't know oil and gas came up 2 different holes. I thought they came up 2 different holes and they come up 1 hole. And for anybody that knows anything about oil production, that is the most insulting fucking thing you can say, because that means you know nothing. And I knew nothing. Now, as I've already told you, I know too much and I would be hesitant. If Bunky Hunt was still alive, God rest his soul, he'd say, Danny, you're overthinking this shit. As a couple of you overthink it. And I don't have the intestinal fortitude to drill 25,000-foot test wells when the chances are 1 in 50 of coming to fruition. I'm past that. You know, that's a young man's game. And by the grace of Bucky Hunt, Allah, and a few other places, I didn't go bankrupt. But the people that you're hanging with now aren't going to save you from bankruptcy. Your grandmother's only got so much money, and when you're, and I never considered it chilling, but when you're hanging around multi-billionaires, and you come up 25 million short on your end, and they kick it in like it's buying lunch. And I've been blessed, and they've all liked Sally. They've all, they don't know why Sally is married to me, which, but that's the way it is. And they've all liked Sally. And because Sally dealt with very rich people before she met me for E&Y, she was on the rich desk. They called it the tax desk, but the rich desk. And so she, and they all liked her. And they said, Dan must be better than he seems if he's married to her. And so, we faked it. And if you watched the last seminar for her birthday, I gave her $1 million. Which I'm not being braggadocious. I'm not trying to brag now. But it makes me feel good that I can give her $1 million for her birthday. Kind of like you, Blondie. I mean, it's fun to be able to do nice things. It's fun. For some of you that are the cheapest white, Chinese, Korean guys on the planet, it will be difficult for you to make that threshold. But it is fun, to be able to. And we give a lot of money to the Catholic Church, which Sally's not as thrilled about that as I am because she's not a devout Catholic. I'm not a devout Catholic. But, I mean, it's fun being rich, guys. I'm just telling you. We have a lot of guys a couple gals, more guys. The very best gals I ever had fell in love and ran off into the sunset with some guy. That's just the truth. I mean, walked away from their money. You're shaking your head. You'd never walk away from your money, right? Okay. Well, I've heard that before from a woman, but
Any female billionaires?
Not in my stable. No, not in my stable. We've got several worth $700-800 million, but no billionaires. And because they walked away. Now, I can't speak like a gal, but you've never been loved, you've never been, all this shit, and then all of a sudden you find some guy allegedly, ostensibly, theoretically really loves you. And then
why don't you have the money and him?
What? Well, that's the talk's cheap. You haven't met one yet.
No,
but
Mr. Peña, you're wrong.
What?
We really, really love him, not the other way around.
Oh, no, but they really, really love you. But the girls love harder, stronger, and more sincerely than men. That's a given. Full stop.
Yeah, well, they came out with statistics as in high-end lawyers, women lawyers, right? As soon as they hit 30, they're making a certain amount of money in their career. They don't get satisfaction from their career. They get satisfaction from family and.
Well, I mean, that's a study, but I can tell you what's happened in the real life. And I've had women walk away from $500 million for a guy. I mean, walk away, turn the key, throw it in the trash. I wish I was there to pick it up myself, but. And for those gals that, whether you've been loved, there's one of my mentees who's an escort girl now, but she's one of the preeminent madams on the planet, said there's a difference between being in love and being loved. And I remember one night over a bottle of cognac, she was trying to explain to me being in love and being loved. And maybe I'm not trying to promote a conversation here. And women are willing to walk away and ride off into the sunset. Every myth has some reality. The white fucking charger on a horse since caveman. Gals are looking for that. Now, none of you in this room are going to probably take that, jump up on that white horse and, flip back your shield off your head. That's just not us. That's certainly not me. But I've known some very powerful women. And even though all of them didn't ride off into the sunset, but if a guy rode off it, approached them, now a few of those girls, Sally's either here or not, Dan will ride off in the sunset with you. You know, we'll make your life better than with Sally. But I'm smarter than that. One in the hand's better than two in the bush. You know, I've been smarter than that. But the girls have it easier. And I will be not surprised if the girls don't score. I don't mean score as you guys think score. Don't score first. Don't score. Yes, sir.
You reinforced it multiple times. I think even early on in the seminar about family being your biggest data shows that it's the biggest obstacle.
Correct.
Can you tell me 2, 3, and 4?
Family's 1. The religions 2. Because a lot of religions, you know, money's the root of all evil. I don't believe that. And 3 is politics. And 4 is just general backward stupidity, because they're from backward parts of the world, like Arkansas, and I say that sarcastically because he's from Texas, or Yemen, or and we have a few people here from the backwards part of the world. And even though Texas and that part of the world, states, is backward, you know, they're very successful. They're very open to business in Texas. I owe a lot of my net worth to Texas, you know, and they're just, you know, they're there to do business, and they're not there to hinder business. No state taxes and stuff like that. I mean I love that environment, and even though I was a wetback Mexican, you know, they actually learned the last couple of years I was there how to say my name right, how to respect But when I was first there. And I was trying to join the Houston Country Club, which I ultimately got in. But I mean, I was the first wet-bass Mexican member of the Houston Country Club. I was it. And to this day, I don't think there's been a second member. But that old boy, he's okay. And I still remember going through the interview process. And insultingly, they asked me, can you guarantee you're going to pay your monthly dues? I looked at the guys the guys at the table. I wanted to jump up and choke them, but I didn't. I restrained myself. I said, with the greatest respect, sir, have you ever missed your monthly dues? I happened to pick the right guy, and everybody at the table started laughing because he was considered Mr. Late. He paid his dues twice a year, whether he needed to or not. So I got lucky, and I picked the right guy. But I mean, I didn't think that was racial abuse. I didn't. But it was racial abuse. But now when I go back to Texas, and having been one of the biggest employers in my day, and I used to have lunch with the mayor, dinner with the governor, and Governor Connolly, John Connolly, tried to convince me to run for governor of Texas, and he said 40%. In 5 years, Danny, there's going to be 40% that are Spanish speaking. And he says, you look white. He was a straight shooter, Connolly. You look white. I don't mean to be, you know me a long time. You look white. You got blue eyes. I'll support you. And all he had to say, that was it. But I decided not to run. But so a lot of high-powered, normally racist Texans. But I mean, when are you going to be hanging around with a former Secretary of Defense, John Connolly, former governor, ran for president? With this program, you will. This is the first leg up for you, and I'm not suggesting you should run for office or anything like that. Politics is a dirty business. But based on your current backgrounds, you're not going to be chilling with those guys. And as vulgar as I talk, you know how I talk. Who was it that asked me why I get away? Was it you? No, somebody asked me how I get away with talking. Oh, no, you. I've talked this way since I'm 10 years old.
I love it. No, I love it. I just don't.
But how do I get away with
I don't
it?
know how YouTube doesn't kick, because I see what YouTube kicks off, and I'm like, please don't.
Because down deep inside somebody on YouTube, but I've been saying these bad words for a long time. I'm going to say one more comment. When I got the 1981 Hispanic Businessman of the Year award, and allegedly I was, the most successful Hispanic in the United States. 2 years later, on the front page of the LA Times, allegedly I was worth $50 million back in 1983. And so I got these awards in about 4 or 5 years. And CBS was doing a special on me. And the Connie Chung, for those of you that might still remember, she CBS anchor, said, asked my father, Mr. Peña, you must be extremely proud of your son. He says, I am. But he looked straight in the camera and said, I want you to all be clear. My son is successful not because of me, but in spite of me. He didn't want to take any recognition. They then turned to Shirley Teeter, Dr. Shirley Teeter, who was the dean of the School of Business that you got to explain about, the know-nothing little business school I went to. And they said, Dr. Teeter, you've known Mr. Peña for 25 years or plus. Yes, I have. What have you seen that Mr. Peña has changed in the 25 years that you've known him? Danny Peña hasn't changed other than his accomplishments caught up with his big fucking mouth. Yes, she did. She did. I never, ever heard her say a swear word in her life. That's the animosity that had been built up in her for 25 years because I slapped her around like a fucking dog. Yeah, and CBS cut that out of the newsreel. But people resent my success because I've told them, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to ram it up your snatch or down your fucking throat. And you will suck my balls someday. And I've said this since I'm 10, 12. And I made it happen. Are you twitching your finger? Is that a Texas thing?
When you made that statement was when I decided to come here.
Because when I tell you, it's possible, kids, it is. Just as I tell you, I haven't told you this part. If you embarrass me, or you embarrass my brand, or my name, or my family, you might as well give your soul to motherfucking God, because I will fuck you up big time. I will put you on a fucking spit, fat man. And the Russians won't recognize you. And when I say it, I mean it. Metaphorically speaking, of course. I mean, because I'm from the old school. I mean, I will not disrespect you, your family, etc., and on purpose. But if you do that, or you fuck up my brand, I mean, you might as well give your soul to God, or whoever you believe in, because I will do serious damage to you. And that's how all the big guys think. And that's how all the big guys act. And to the extent that, remember, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because you've never been around guys like that or gals like, and the girls are even more vicious. I mean, that's the world I come from. And I live here. I've lived here for 35 plus years. I haven't had to work in a long, long time. But I'm on a mission to make, even though Donald Trump makes fun of me, to make you guys wealthy. Now, what greater project in life is to make Nimrod morons rich? What greater? There is no.
Mr. Peña?
Yes, ma'am.
After 28 years, are there things that you are still surprised about what your mentees are doing?
Yes, how stupid they are. Yeah, absolutely. I've never underestimated, just as I underestimated the pig fucker. God love you. I mean, if I would have bet $1 trillion, that wouldn't have happened. I would have bet all the money on the fucking planet, all the Bitcoin.
Was he sitting where Goomba's sitting in that corner between his gloves?
No, he was sitting one row ahead of him. Now, was that disrespectful, Goomba? I don't care.
Disrespect. Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but I mean, he was there, and the other 4 Irish guys, I mean, now who's laughing? You never can underestimate how wrong you can be. And I was wrong, and I take my hat off to the Belfast kid. I mean, he's nowhere near as polished as I was, but he's the same bull in a china shop that I was. I was at Thomas's end of the continuum, more polished than Thomas. But I mean, if you want it bad enough, kids, you can do it. It's all in your emotional bank account.
So, do you think it's worth doing a sales course or just learning on the job for sales?
Pardon?
Do you think it's worth learning on the job or doing a sales course for someone like myself who's not strong in sales?
No. Well, that guy's not strong in sales. He's not a pig farmer. He's a goat farmer. He has no sale. He just said what the fucking template said. Most people, I don't want you to understand the words, what they mean. We have one of you English guys from Oxford a couple years ago sent me back the templates. You have a split infinitive in 70% of your templates. Now, you morons don't even know what a fucking split infinitive is. Does anybody in this room know what a split infinitive is? No. Oh, I know you don't. And he says you have a dangling participle in 40% of the templates. Does anybody know what a fucking dangling participle is? No. Because you're ignorant fucks. But I got a fucking email that he critiqued all the templates. He couldn't give away a blowjob to a drunken sailor, but he took the time and to go through all the templates. 70% have split infinitive, dangling part. Fuck. Now he happened to be absolutely correct. Because I studied, we used to break down sentences when I went to school. And so I went back and fuck. But I wrote them as I said them, not whether it was a split infinitive or a dangling participle. But we had some, of course he's never done a deal. He did somehow get a hold of the revised copies. He said, thank you very much for paying attention to my comments. I wanted to go back and fucking pull his tongue out. But you don't, just trial by error. That's how you're going to do this. With the two or three of you that, he has some sales experience. Not necessarily good, but Muhammad Jr. here, Ali bin Laden Jr. here, has some sales skills. He does. But whether he uses them or not, that's another story. But he does have some sales skills. And most of you will equate sales skills with lying. Because most good salesmen know how to lie, and it just rolls off their tongue.
The silver tongue devil.
And I was, and I say, I'm not proud of this, 40, 50, 60% of the sales I made, the guys and gals and companies didn't know what the fuck they were bought. But I convinced them. And Thomas, God love you, Thomas, is in that same category. He's a silver-tongued fucker. And most of you in this room, he comes closest. But whether he does anything with it, that's the question. Because the pig fucker has no skills. So by definition, he should be able to do faster, which you've already talked about, than the pig fucker who knew nothing, knows nothing, doesn't care about insulting anybody. If I told him part of the template was to shit on the guy's foot, he would. I don't understand why I should shit on the guy's foot, but Dan Peña says shit, so I'll just shit on the foot. Now, see, you guys are all too sophisticated to shit on anybody's foot.
Mr. Peña, it's pretty clear on the financial account how to increase it, and the emotional account, how do you increase that? Because we know about the 70 years.
Because beating your head against the wall and failing. That's the only way you increase your emotional bank account. When you cut your ties to your family, that'll be a big step forward. Because your emotional baggage is mostly with your family. Now, some of the kids have other emotional baggage, but 99% of your emotional baggage is your family. And you all know it. You say no, you don't have any emotional baggage, right?
Well, I don't have any family.
Okay, well, good.
I'm already one step ahead.
Okay, well, good. Well, good. And for those of you, this is a joke. If you could cut their throat and, do it right, and you put their hands on their cross and, and put a rose on their chest and walk away. And especially Latino Mexican families. There's a lot of baggage. There just is. It comes with the territory. And when I moved here in 1981, I left all that behind me. And that's not easy. Believe me. There's always a wedding. There's always a funeral. There's always this. There's always that. There's always their hand out asking for money from the rich guy in the family. Okay, well, good. That's exactly right. Fuck them.
You still get asked for money?
Oh, no. I haven't been asked for money in 25 years. 25 years. Yes, sir.
So as being as surprised as you are with how ignorant most of the people that come to the seminar is, I'm assuming that the satisfaction out of making any dumb, in your words or whatever, any fucking dumbass wealthy if they just follow the steps.
It's overwhelming to me. It's like making an Einstein out of a rock. I mean, it's just when I see the Belfast meathead, I mean, it's a sexual experience to me. Okay, YouTube, thank you very much. Good night. Go fuck yourself. We'll see you next time.